Good afternoon and welcome. Apologies, just waiting for a few more people to come on. Okay. Good afternoon and welcome to our webinar this afternoon. We're pleased to co-host this event with our partner Luware. Today we'll be discussing the main three challenges clients face when utilizing Teams as a voice UC platform. We'll be looking today at what these challenges are and how Luware Nimbus can help alleviate these and furthermore enhance and revolutionize your experience in the Teams voice space. Before we get started, I'd like to introduce our speakers today. You have myself, Tom Carver, from Nexus. I have over 14 years experience working within the Microsoft UC space. I'm joined also today by both Ollie Lively, Head of UK Sales, and his colleague Michael Essery, Technical Pre-Sales. They will both later be providing a brief live demonstration of Luware Nimbus, which will give you a very useful insight into how Nimbus can enhance your business experience when utilizing Teams as a UC platform. Should you have any questions, excuse me, as a moment. Should you have any questions as we go through this webinar, please feel free to add them in the Q&A section at the top, and we'll answer these at the end of the session. So, a little bit about Nexus first. We're a value-added reseller based in Exeter. We have over 25 years experience working in the IT industry. We provide a plethora of services from our customers, ranging from professional services, consultation, design, implementation of a wide range of infrastructure projects, both an on-prem, hybrid, and Azure cloud. We're a leading managed service provider offering a range of support services from managed cloud backup to 24/7 proactive monitoring. Nexus are a Microsoft Gold partner, accredited in many competencies, including, of course, UC. Our client base is very broad and covers many verticals from government agencies to professional service industries. And our support base reaches throughout the UK and also into Europe. So let's start and discuss the top three challenges of what we brought in today. So having worked within the Microsoft UC ecosystem for over 14 years, dating back to the demise of OCS and the dawn of Link 2010, cloud meetings have always tended to raise at least one or two of the three challenges we're going to discuss today. There have been many products available over the market over the years to try and combat these issues. Some have been rather better than others, but at Nexus, we have, having many years experience in this Microsoft UC space, have identified Luware as a trusted partner to provide the tools that your business needs. So let's start looking at the challenges we are discussing today. First one, reporting challenges. Currently, it's difficult to extract live reporting data from Teams. Examples of this are calls in queue, number of agents available, time and state. Reporting data in Teams only is stored for up to 30 days, meaning longer-term reporting is not possible. Businesses require this information to measure, for example, performance, usage, and support. Luware Nimbus optimizes reporting, will provide valuable detailed insights to help organize measure performance effectively. The second challenge, integration. Currently, Teams Native View can only carry out simple screen pops. Pushing and pulling data from CRM systems is not always possible out of the box. With Luware Nimbus, by utilizing an API, you can connect your CRMs to work within the Luware Nimbus window, allowing for agents to have quick access to specific client data when they call in. Calls are identified by caller line ID or DDIs. Screens will pop showing client details, giving the agent user the ability to work efficiently and effectively in dealing with inquiries. And all of this is done within the Teams window or single pane of glass. This also includes options for things like AI bots, SMS, and web interactions. Luware already has pre-built APIs for all the main CRM systems, for example, Salesforce or Dynamics. However, APIs can be written for other third parties or in-house systems. Please feel free to ask any questions on this in the Q&A section. So the final one is voice recording. So voice recording is probably one of the main questions I've been asked in many of the meetings over the years, as Teams does not, again, provide this natively out of the box. So depending on the business needs and vertical, recording is required for many different purposes. This can be for compliance reasons, quality monitoring, training, and or dealing with dispute resolution. All recordings are easily retrievable via a web browser, so you can easily access the data as and when required. So I'm now going to pass you over to Luware, Ollie first, to just start going through the demonstrations and covering the challenges that we've already mentioned earlier. Ollie, take it away. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Yeah, hi, everyone. Thanks for joining this afternoon. So let's take those challenges in the order that Tom presented them there. So I'm going to show you how our Teams customer service app, Luware Nimbus, solves some of those challenges. So I'm sitting in Microsoft Teams here. I'm sitting in my desktop app. This is also accessible via my web app if I'd rather view it in a browser. And I'm going to come into the Nimbus app here, which can just be pinned to my taskbar. So already, without leaving Teams, we're in our app. There are a few different dashboards when I come into the app. Some of these are user-based dashboards. Some of these are more reporting-centric. So I'll show you a couple of these this afternoon. So let's take a look at some of our reporting dashboards. So along the left-hand side here, we have a few which are ready for us straight out the box. So as soon as I start putting calls through the services, these dashboards will already be populated with data. The first one I'd like to show you is our live dashboard. So this will really address some of those issues that Tom mentioned there around seeing real-time data from your call queues and from your different departments. So in our My Services here, we can pick out the exact team that we want to view this data on. So to show you some example of some live data, I'm going to show you our reporting service. So you can imagine this as a team of users in maybe a customer service or a help desk environment answering calls. So on the left-hand side here, we have a view of our queue. So here we can see how many tasks or how many callers are waiting in this queue. We can see longest waiting task, and we can see which tasks are connected to which agents. So in this table here, we see those tasks and we see the different states here. So here we can really easily differentiate between tasks that are waiting in the queue, tasks that are in the IVR, and those tasks that are connected, and we can see which agents they're connected to. So on the left-hand side, we can really see our demand for that service or for that group. And then on the right-hand side, we can compare that against agent availability. So on the right-hand side here, we can see we've got 3 agents active. That means there are 3 agents logged into this service. However, only one of those agents is actually available. So to look at which agents are available, we can have a look at our user list here. And this is pulling these directly from Teams. So if we have a look through some of our users here, we have a few that are actually offline in Teams. We have a few here like Christopher, he's actually green in Teams. However, he's logged out of this service. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the Teams presence to determine whether somebody's actually available to handle that call. So if I needed some more people available in this service here, because we got some people waiting and then we don't have enough agents available, I could really easily identify here that Christopher's green on Teams. He's currently logged out of the queue. So as soon as I log him in here, he's now going to go to available. So he's available, and we now have 2 people in that queue. So this real-time dashboard allows supervisors and managers to interact with their agents and actually keep up with that real-time demand from the queue there. Along the bottom, we have a couple of trends, so we can see, okay, is queue time or connected time, is that consistent, or is there a spike today? So that's just going to give us some high-level trends. So I'll take myself out of this queue here, and then we'll look at some of the other dashboards that we have. So the next one that I wanted to show you is now slightly more focused on SLAs or KPIs. In the same way that we did before, we can view this on a service by service level. So let's just take a look at our UK queue here as an example. So here we've got some really useful donuts at the top here. So this is going to show us some of the most important KPIs. So we can see here how many tasks we've handled versus not handled. We can see if we're reaching our SLA. So on each service, you can set a target answer time. So let's say we're a customer service team and we want to try and answer our customers' calls within 2 minutes of them queuing. This will track how we're performing against that target. We can see average queue times, average connected times here, and we can actually filter this over different time periods. So if we just want to look at today, or we just want to look at the last 30 days, we can view that here. Underneath, we have a really nice bar chart, which is going to focus in on the outcomes of these tasks that are coming in. So here we can easily see how many calls on that given day went to voicemail, how many of those people came into the queue and then hung up in the IVR or hung up in the queue there, or how many were transferred. So using this bar chart, we can interact with this and find out what's happening on a day-to-day basis, or if we zoom in an hour-by-hour basis, and we can actually filter this just to see the specific KPIs that are important to us. Bottom left, we've got some user statistics here. So this is more focused around the user performance. So we can see here how many calls are being accepted or declined by each of the users. So they're fairly self-explanatory if I accept a call or decline a call. However, we're also going to track RONA calls. So if a user gets distributed a call because it's their turn to answer a call and they ignore it and then it bounces on to one of their colleagues, that will actually show up as a RONA call or an ignored call there. And then finally, in the bottom right, we can view a heat map. So we can see during the week, when are we answering the most calls? So we can really easily identify our busy times, but also we can identify here when we're missing calls. So during the week here, we can identify, okay, these are the times of the week where we're actually not handling some of the calls. And then we can look back over previous weeks and see if there are any kind of trends developing there. Maybe there's a time of week where there's a team meeting, so we're actually having more not handled calls at that point. So these dashboards are really good for seeing live data and real-time insights. But as Tom mentioned, Teams natively, the reporting data doesn't go that far back. So what we've done is we built our own Power BI template to view data from up to 2 years ago. So this really allows you to go a lot more granular into your data, add filters, add slices into your data, and export that data if you need to. So what we're doing here is we're utilizing Power BI, but we actually built this template for our customers so they don't have to spend a lot of time building this from scratch. So here's an example of a couple of these tabs within this template. So here we have the data from a service perspective or from a queue perspective. So this is going to show us all our most important KPIs at the top here. We can see service by service and compare there. And then if we wanted to hone in on this a bit further, we can actually add some slices in here. We can add some slices around the date. We can just select a specific service, or maybe we just want to find out how many calls have not been handled in each of my services. So I'll click that filter in there, and then we can see and compare between services how many calls have not been handled. We also have similar views here for user data, for tags and codes, for user states. So yeah, this really allows us to go a lot more granularly into that data. Okay. So that's how we can handle that's how we can overcome some of the reporting challenges presented to us by just using Teams natively. I now wanted to take you back into Nimbus to show you the experience of handling phone calls and actually integrating into third-party platforms. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to sit in my sessions dashboard. This has been designed for users to give them more insight about incoming interactions. And here we're going to focus on how we can actually bring information from a CRM system and deliver that to an agent as they receive a call. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a phone call in here via my mobile, and I'm going to answer that call, and I'll show you what information we can provide the agent as they answer that call. Welcome to the Salesforce Showcase service. So I'm now going to sit in the queue of that queue there. And now, as you can see here, we have an incoming call from Bob. So straight away, we know who that call's coming in from, and we have some information. I just answer that call using the native Teams call toast. Okay, so that's going to pop up and notify me on any of my devices in exactly the same way that any other Teams call does. So from a user perspective, they're not having to learn a new call handling system. It's exactly the same as Teams. So I'm in a Teams call now. I can do everything that I can normally do with that Teams call. But if I look at my sessions dashboard, this is where we can really get some insights onto who that caller is, and we've got some information in front of us here. So we can see there's Bob that's calling in, so we can address them by the name if we want to. We can see how long they waited for there. And more importantly, we can pull through some details from the CRM and display it here to the user. So here are some generic fields that we pulled through, but we can pull through custom fields as well. So if they're really important fields for your users around how many tickets they have open, or do they have any open opportunities, or what's the value of the accounts, or how many orders do they have open, we can actually pull through other fields into this and bring that from your CRM system. So I've got some information about Bob there. Now, at the same time that happened, in my browser, we popped out a contact record of Bob. So another kind of experience that we can deliver with Nimbus is actually that screen pop. So here we've decided to pop out the contact record of that incoming caller. This could just as easily be the account record, or we could pop a search against that phone number. So if you wanted to search for open cases or open opportunities, as that call comes in, we can automatically pop that search. So whatever's going to be most helpful for the users to have in front of them as that call comes in, we can pop that out. So now I have all Bob's contact information in front of me. I can see any opportunities that he has open. And on my right-hand side here, I can see a list of all the interactions he's had over the last couple of weeks. So as well as popping information from the CRM, we've actually been able here to create an automated call log in Salesforce or in your CRM of that interaction. So every time that Bob calls in, we're creating a record of that here. We can also create records or trigger tasks based on other outcomes of calls. So here, for example, we missed a call from Bob, and we can trigger like a callback request from that and automate a callback if we wanted to. Or here, he actually requested a callback from an IVR option. So whatever activity he has whilst waiting, or whatever outcome of the call there is, we can actually trigger different tasks on that based on the different business processes that need to be achieved. Now, recently, we actually introduced a transcription feature into our CRM integration. So I just wanted to pull up here an example of one of these automated tasks that were created when Bob called in. So here we're using our transcription feature, and in the automated task that was created when he called in, we've actually been able to embed the transcription of that call into that task. So here the agent won't even have to write any notes because they've got the full transcription of that call in the record, and all of that is automated. So here we've got the full transcription, which is an example of somebody phoning in trying to cancel their mobile phone contract. And at the top, using Azure AI in Power Automate, we were able to summarize that call there. So by adding transcription into this, again, it's just taking those tasks of creating notes and creating follow-up actions away from the agent, allowing them to focus on the conversation. And using Power Automate and using Azure AI, we can take that further by summarizing it, analyzing the sentiment, or picking out keywords and creating actions from that. So for example, here, if we wanted to, we could create another flow in the CRM, which creates a task for a supervisor if they've mentioned the word cancel, for example. Okay. So lots of nice stuff that we can do there with CRM integration. It's not just on the agent side that we can assist with CRM integrations. In the routing logic, we can also build some nice kind of checks and on parameters from CRM. So I'll explain a little bit about what I mean with that. So this is how we build out the routing logic of phone calls or emails or chat messages before they're distributed to users. So here I've just got a blank canvas. I'm going to build out a really simple kind of routing logic here. So the first thing I want to do when this caller hits the queue is to check the opening hours, so we can do some time of day routing. And then what I want to do is actually check a parameter. So when we check a parameter here, we can check parameters on the incoming phone number, but we can also check custom parameters here. So I can do custom parameter checks in the CRM to see if they're a VIP caller, for example, or to see if they have open orders with us. So I can do checks on the incoming caller automatically and then make routing decisions on that. So let's say, for example, I see they're a VIP customer. At that point, I might just want to give them a higher priority in the queue. And then they're going to be distributed that call faster because they'll jump up the queue. So if they're VIP, I'm just going to give them a very high priority. So they basically jump first in line in the queue. However, if they've got an order open, we can take that a step further and we can actually start playing announcements here, which are going to pull information from the CRM system and start playing that back automatically to the caller. So if they've got an open order, that person might actually be calling in to check the status of that order. So what we can do, we can say is the status of your order is, and we can choose the text-to-speech engine, and then we can choose a custom parameter here and basically play that back. So here we've got order state as a parameter, and then we basically played them back the state of their order, and that's pulling that from their particular CRM record. And then we can just ask them, did that answer your question, yes or no? If yes, they haven't had to speak to an agent. If no, they can go to the queue. So there's lots of different ways that we can look at integrating with your CRM system. I think it really depends on what business processes are trying to be achieved, but there's a few different things we can do there to assist the users, but also assist the workflows there. So if you've got any questions on any of that, drop them in the Q&A and we can answer those at the end of the session. But I will hand over to Mike now to talk through the recording.
Thanks, Ollie. Good afternoon, everyone. I will take you through the recording side of things. I'll give you an idea of how we record contact center or Microsoft Teams conversations. Just take you through what it looks like to find and retrieve calls and play them back. So firstly, the Luware recording service is primarily web driven. And what that means is you can access the service through any public internet using a supported web browser like Chrome or Edge. And you can see here, we just access it through a URL link. There's no local user logins. Okay, so it's fully integrated with your Active Directory or Entra ID. And what that means is all of the security and groups and settings that you've got configured in there is pulled down to our service. So if you have something like multi-factor authentication set up, that again will be prompted when you try to log into Luware Recording. Now it's going to let me in straight away because I've already authenticated earlier today. This is the service. Now, to start off, I just want to make clear what we can record and how we actually do it. So we have full control over exactly which users in Microsoft Teams we record, so whether they're contact center users or back office users. And we also have full control over the type of conversation that's being recorded and along with the call direction. So as an example, you can see here we've got this matrix, and this is on a per user basis, so very granular. For particular users, perhaps you want to record all voice conversations. This could be contact center, you can see here, or we could have PSTN only, PSTN inbound, outbound, internal. There's lots of options here. You have full control of the direction of call that will be recorded. Now, in addition to voice calls, you have got the ability to record IM, so instant messaging, video, so that could be when you're on a one-to-one video call or even a video meeting. We can record screen shares, whiteboarding sessions. You have full control over this on a per user basis, so lots of flexibility there. Now, just in terms of recording calls and being able to find and replay them. So if we head over here to the search interface of Luware Recording, you can see here we've got our search criteria fields, and we can make the search as basic or as advanced as we want. So as an example, we can search by time and date. So we could choose one of these predefined options here, or we can select the exact date and the exact time if we really want to pinpoint a call. But for this search, we'll keep it nice and broad. We'll go all of this month. If we know the particular PSTN number or external phone number that we want to find, we could enter that. You can see here it will populate a few recently used ones. And then if we know the agent or the username of the user who's involved in the call, so we'll use Ollie for this one, we can select Ollie here, and then we can base a search against this criteria. Now, if we click search here, we'll find lots of calls for Ollie. It's been quite busy on the demo platform, and any of these we can actually select and play. But just looking at some of the fields here, it gives you a good idea of what the call is about, or at least the time and date of the call and the duration. So we can see who the call was to, if the call was used or was made using a service number. So we can see here it was using a Nimbus service. We will see that in that field there. We can see the start date, start time, end date, end time, the duration of the call, and then an overview of all the participants of the call. Now, if we think we've found the particular call we're after, we can click into it. There's lots of technical information here, probably not really relevant for someone that's just jumping into the platform to replay a call, so we'll skip that for the moment. But we do have the ability to play the call in a supported web browser. So, for example, Chrome or Edge, you can play the call completely within the web browser. You can download the call. It will download it in an MP3 format, and then we can also share the call. But if we just click the play icon here, this will bring up the play interface. We can see here there wasn't much speech actually in this call from the sound waves we can see here, but we can play the call. If it wasn't muted, we'd be able to listen to it. Now, if we did hear something interesting in the call, we can place markers. Okay, so we could select a portion of the call. We could add a marker. We could say advice was given at this point of the call. We could save it, and then when we come back to this call in the future, just open it back up, we can straight away see the marker and skip to that portion of the call. Okay, so on a particularly long call, it's quite a handy feature to be able to, I guess, provide place topics of conversation here. So that's a basic voice call. Now we can do lots of clever things in the interface. We do have the ability to do transcription, sentiment analysis. So I'll just show you that. Go into some of my saved searches. So here we can see a historic call. Again, we can see the user involved, who the call was to, and the start date and end date, end time, that kind of thing. We click into it. We're going to see a bit more information on this call. So firstly, we can see all the sound waves again. We can see it's quite a long call, but straight away we get on the analytics tab, we get an indication of the languages detected. Okay, so we can see it's English. We get an idea of the overall sentiment score. Okay, now you'll notice that this call here is quite a neutral call. You can see the high score in the neutral area, but these color indicators also resonate with the live transcription. Okay, so any of the green markers against the speaker shows that that comment from the speaker is perceived as a positive comment. Okay, and you can see that for positive, negative, and neutral sentiment comments. Now, in addition to that, it does automatically summarize the topics of conversation. So you saw previously that I was manually adding markers using this screen, this part here. Now, the tool will also automatically do that for you. You can see here, it's summarized the topics of conversation, and there's lots of them. So on a particularly long call, rather than having to listen to the whole thing, you could just jump to the interesting parts. Or if you see something that sparks your interest, you can jump to it. So for example, you can click it, it jumps to it, and you'll notice it also jumps to that part of the transcription as well. Now, with this voice transcription, of course, you've got it here, but you can export it. So we've had some customers that wanted to actually take the text export into another application to do further processing, and that's absolutely possible. Okay, so you can export all of this to a third-party application if needed. So next, I'm just going to show you what a video conference might look like once it's been recorded. So previously we had a very simple voice call. We can see here from the participants list, this is quite a large call. See lots of participants in there. And again, it's not just voice calls that we can replay using the web browser. We can also replay video calls. So you can see lots of Luware colleagues here. And again, we get the transcription. We're able to record the video element of the call. We get our analytics showing the sentiment overview of the call. And again, the topics of conversation. So we can record lots of different parts of Microsoft Teams. So voice, video, screen sharing, and I'll just show you one last one. This was a conference call that so like what we're doing now with screen sharing. Just show you what that looks like being replayed. So you can see here the user's been sharing their screen. I have paused it, but you can replay the whole call within the web browser again. Now, any of these calls, voice, video, screen share, you're able to download them if you enable the feature. We can disable it. An additional feature of Luware recording, and especially important for contact center customers, is our quality management or scorecarding facility. So with this tool, you're actually able to evaluate an agent's performance against a customized scorecard. So as an example, if we select any of these calls, you'll see here it's opened up a scorecard. Actually, that was a bad call to open. There's not much being said on that one. We'll try this one. Okay. So here you can see we've got the replay interface and you can listen to the call, but whilst actually listening to the call, we can be scoring the call. Okay, so this scorecard you can create against your own business requirements. So you don't have to use any of these questions that we've got here. This is just a demo version of it, but you'll make it relevant for what's important to your business. Okay, so if you have a really heavy emphasis on how you greet customers, perhaps you want to assign quite a high weighting to the first greeting section. Okay, and that would have a larger impact on the agent's overall score. But whilst you're listening to the call, you can score it. At the bottom, you could add notes to it. Say agent needs training. So really useful tool in identifying gaps in agent training. You can make recommendations for improvements. Once you've saved it, you can then feed this back to the actual agent. So if needed, it can be sent as a web link via email to the agent, and they can browse to this screen in a read-only mode to firstly listen to their callback and then also understand how they've been scored and look at any notes that have been given. If you have any other questions on this, please just drop the questions in the Q&A, and I'll pass over to Tom. Thank you very much.
Michael, thank you. Ollie, thank you as well. Hope you guys found that useful or informative. So we're just going to move on quickly now to the Q&A section, and obviously hopefully answer any questions you've got from what we've been written down here. So there is one that's come in. I guess this might be for you, Ollie, which is a question regarding the transcription feature. Is there an additional licensing required for that, or is that built in as part of the service, the Nimbus service?
Yeah, so transcription is part of our contact center license. So if you have the contact center, then the transcription feature will be enabled. We just turned that on at the moment, so that will be coming live to all tenants within the next couple of weeks. It does use the Azure voice bot services, so it will incur some costs from Azure because it's actually an Azure service doing the transcription. So just bear that in mind. It will consume that service, but from our experience, it doesn't cost a lot. It's like a fraction of pennies a minute. So yeah, you basically are consuming that from Azure, but from our side, the license is included in our full contact center license.
Okay, thanks. Just on that, actually, Ollie, one of the questions I do get asked quite a lot is obviously regarding the licensing and how Luware Nimbus is licensed, because there's two formats to it, isn't there, really? So depending on whether it's contact center or advanced routing, the differences between the two would be, could we just sort of briefly elaborate on that?
Yeah, of course. So yeah,
Thanks.
we want to build solutions for both informal and kind of formal traditional use cases. So what we've done is we've built a couple of licenses called Advanced and Enterprise Routing, and these are actually licensed per service or per call queue, rather than per user. And a lot of what I showed you today, the dashboards, the Power BI reporting, is included in those advanced and enterprise routing licenses. And what that means is you don't have to license every user, and you might have a customer service team or a help desk team where they would really benefit from some of the functionality we've shown you today, but you don't have the budget, or they don't need all of the full traditional contact center functionality. If you do need some of the more traditional contact center functionality, like wrap up time, skills, routing, the transcription that we just spoke about, then we do have that more traditional per user per month model, and they can coexist. You can mix and match. On the recording side, that Mike showed you, that's a traditional per user per month model. And we have a few different flavors of recording license, depending on whether you want to record just voice or you need to record video and screen share and other modalities.
Okay, great, thanks. And also the API model, which we discussed previously or earlier on, that's a bolt-on license for that, isn't it? So for the ones that you've got sort of already built in-house, that would just be an additional bolt-on license if they wanted to get that integration.
Yeah, for the integration, we use Microsoft Power Automate. So you basically just need a Power Automate license from Microsoft. You only really need one of those to set up the flows, and then that's included in our contact center and enterprise routing. So yeah, you don't really need anything additional from us for those integrations. You just need to buy the Power Automate license from Microsoft.
Okay, thanks, Ollie. Just a question just come in from Rob. Apologies, it's been asked previously. The storage of the data video calls. Firstly, where does this data reside? And also, is there an additional charge for storage?
So
Thanks,
I assume
Rob.
that's
Yeah,
for recording,
Both
right?
sides.
Mike?
Yeah.
Perfect. So whether it's video calls, whether it's voice, instant messaging, all data is actually stored on customer provided Azure blob storage. So that's Azure's storage service. It's very, very cost effective, and it means that you're always in ownership and control of your data. So Luware Recording is a service that collects the data, but then we automatically push it to your own storage account. And again, you've got full access to your data, you've got full control of it, and also you've got quite a transparent view of the costs associated with storing the data. But to give you an idea, the question always comes up around the cost to store. I just priced it up recently for a customer. To do 0.5 terabyte of data was about £5 per month. So very cost effective, and that's hundreds of thousands of calls.
Great. Okay, thanks, Michael.
On the contact center side, so in terms of the cool data that I showed you, that's stored. You can decide whether you want to store that in our UK Nimbus cluster, German Nimbus cluster, or Swiss Nimbus cluster. We will also be having some new clusters in North America and APAC as well later this year. But yeah, you basically choose where you want your data to reside. So if you're a UK-based organization, then yeah, you can choose our UK cluster, and so all of your cool metadata will be stored in the UK Azure region.
Right. Okay. Thanks, Ollie. I think that's all the Q&A questions that I can see in front of me today. So what I'll do is just pass on to the next slide. So just to make everyone aware, we are offering a full demo of Luware Nimbus on Monday, the 22nd of April at 2 o'clock. If you would be keen or interested in joining that, feel free to click on the link in the PowerPoint there, which will then send you through and set up the appointment in your calendar. If, however, you can't make that, or you'd prefer to have a more tailored demonstration provided, then we can also provide that ourselves with Luware. And feel free to contact me directly. My details are on there on this slide here. So I think if there's no other questions, I'll just want to say thank you to Luware for the demonstration today. Thanks, Ollie. Thanks, Michael. And also thank you everyone for joining. I do hope you found it to be a useful exercise and very informative. As I've mentioned already, please do contact me directly if you do have any further questions or would require a separate demo outside the one we're offering on Monday. So that's it. Thanks very much, everyone. Have a great afternoon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody. Cheers.
Cheers,
Bye.
guys.